just one more example of what the working class was up against. And this is even with skilled workers, and that is going to be the Homestead steel strike. This is in 1892, and it has to do with Andrew Carnegie and his steel production. And Carnegie gets this reputation, and Carnegie gives away most of his money by the end of his life. He's got the gospel of wealth where he's talking about philanthropy and goodness, but that's all public relations, because Carnegie is also ruthless, and he's going to be ruthless here at the Homestead strike. Now, he doesn't want to get his hands dirty. So Carnegie wants to break these highly paid, skilled union workers that work in his steel plant, but he doesn't want to do it himself. So he hires a guy named Frick. I believe it's Henry Frick, and he's just going to be ruthless. And Carnegie goes off to Scotland back on a trip while this happens because he doesn't want to get his hands involved. And he wants to kind of preserve his reputation. But he knew intimately what was happening here. Frick is hired to smash the union at any cost. He wants to cut the costs. He wants to lower the wages so that Carnegie can get a higher bump in his profit. Carnegie's already the wealthiest guy that almost has ever existed in a time where there's almost no income tax. And yet he's going to do this to the workers to save money. First of all, Henry Frick goes to the highly skilled workers and tries to negotiate a new contract, and that's going to fail. And after a period of negotiation of a few days, Frick locks out the workers. Now, they're going to call it a strike. It's not a strike. It's a lockout. He does not let them go back to work, okay? Frick then hires a whole mess of what are called Pinkertons, over 300 Pinkertons. These are tentatively law officials, but they're not really law. They carry around guns, and they're going to be essentially a militia for Frick. He builds watchtowers and puts a fence around the Homestead steel plant. And the Pinkertons later, they're going to notice that the workers are hanging out around the building. There's thousands of them, men, women, children, families. They're there outside of the plant. The Pinkertons are going to float down the river on a barge, a few dozen of them, and they're going to get into a gunfight with the strikers. A gunfight. 7 of the strikers are going to be killed. 4 of the Pinkertons are going to be killed in the responding fire. After a period of some conflict, the Pinkertons actually are going to lose this. But in the end, the strikers are going to lose out because the Pennsylvania governor, which is where Homestead is, Homestead, Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania governor is going to send in the literal militia, essentially the National Guard of Pennsylvania, to assist Frick. They're just going to attack the strikers. The strikers are going to lose. The leaders of the union are going to be arrested, and they're going to be put on trial for murder. These Pinkertons. The union is essentially broken. Frick is then going to go and hire strike breakers. We call them scabs. He's going to hire the scabs to take their place. The strikers lose. Only about 1/5 of them are going to get their jobs back, and the other 4/5 are going to be blacklisted. They can't even get a job in the steel industry anymore. Carnegie was ruthless because he didn't want to pay them as much as he was paying them. The labor unions are up against not only the ownership, but a government that is supporting business and not the working man.